Hey there, YouTubers. Alright, it's time to learn how to update the BIOS for the Asus Prime B460 Plus motherboard. This is a new motherboard out for 10th gen. Perhaps you've seen my overview on it, or you feel like, hey, it's time to update the BIOS. You're not happy with how things are performing, and you think maybe the BIOS might help. Well, maybe it will. So it is June 21st here. I'm in Hawaii. Lovely place, of course. But we've decided, to check to see if there's been any BIOS updates for this, and lo and behold, there has. So this motherboard's only been out about a month, and of course, it's new technology. There's going to be updates. So let's talk about the tools you're going to need. All right, not a whole lot is needed. Obviously, a motherboard, a full working computer, and you will need a thumb drive, right? So this is the main thing you might not already have. Go ahead and insert it into one of your USB drives, preferably on the motherboard, okay? That's actually one of my troubleshooting tips, to make sure you plug it in back here and not in the case. Sometimes, for whatever reason, the BIOS does not recognize the USBs that are on the case. So go ahead and do yourself a favor and put it in back here. Now, if you have a really cheap thumb drive, I would say don't even bother. Get yourself a good quality one, and type of formatting on it can be important. If it does not work, then most likely you're going to have to take it out, reformat it. I will try and remember to type down below what a good formatting is. I've tried this with a bunch of different ones, and they usually always work for me. For some reason, they don't always work for everybody else, though. All right, folks. So once you get your computer booted up, first thing I suggest you do is go into the thumb drive, create a new folder, name it exactly what your motherboard is. In this case, I've got so many of these 10th gen motherboards around here. It's kind of ridiculous. So there is the name of this one, Asus Prime B460 Plus, and it sounds like the air conditioner is about to go on, so hopefully you guys can hear me. Alright, so now what we need to do is actually search for this motherboard, okay? Alright, so next step we're going to do is search for our motherboard. Just so happens I've already typed it out here. Asus Prime B460 Plus, put that in, and it should pop up as the very top. Now make sure you do not get B450 Plus, okay? This is Ryzen. That's another troubleshooting thing that I'll add to my list. Hopefully I'll remember to summarize everything. So we're going to click on the B460 Plus by Asus. Now a lot of things you could go look at in here. We want to go to support. Then we're going to go down here to driver and tools. I'll make this a little bigger. So I apologize, we're not using the screen capture. The capture card I have is broken, so we're stuck with what we got. Alright, so main thing you want to do is know what your current BIOS is, okay? So today is June 21st. You may not be able to see that in the bottom right corner. And this latest BIOS was June 11th. It says version 0605 right here. So one thing we want to do is check our sysinfo. And you just start typing SYS in the bottom left corner. Okay. And that'll bring up this application. And we're just going to go ahead and open it. Now, in here, it will show our motherboard, and it should show our BIOS. Has 3.2 here, and the actual one was done in March 3rd, 2020. Now, surprisingly, these numbers do not match up. Go figure. But this is definitely the Asus B460 Plus, as you see right there. All right, so we know we have an old BIOS. They made a bunch of these before they shipped them out, and here it is 3 months later. There's bound to be some issues. Alright, so back to the Asus page. We verified that we have an older BIOS, and now we're going to go ahead and download it. And you see there it says the improvement for this is, or what you're gaining is improved system performance. So we definitely want that. Alright, after I had clicked the download button, down at the bottom of the screen, it's asking us to open, save, cancel. We want to do a click here and do a save as. Brings this up. Then we want to search for our Adida Asus Prime B460. I have this feeling we're going out of focus. B460, and then we'll save it in here. Alright. Now down here, to save us a step, we're going to say click open folder. That brings this back up. Now what I want to do next is I'm going to right click on it to unzip it. This is a very important step, folks. Make sure you do this, okay? Otherwise you ain't going to see anything when you get in the BIOS. We're going to extract, and voila, it is now extracted. We have these two things in here. We'll go ahead and delete the zip file. Now we just have that one file in here to worry about, okay? You see it's a cap file. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to reboot. And I'm going to back this up. Hopefully you guys will catch this. Restart anyways. Okay, so we're jamming. We're going to start jamming as soon as we get the papers out of the way. Start jamming on that delete key. And it says on screen, press delete or F2 to enter BIOS. We're doing that. And boom, we're in here, okay? Alright folks, so we're in our BIOS. And you know, as discussed in the BIOS, you can see what version you have right there. And you see the date, March 3rd, 2020. So obviously an old BIOS. Not that old though, only 3 months. I've done these with, you know, much older. So what we want to do is go to Tool and then Easy Flash Utility. Now there's a bunch of drives here, and you may have more drives. I know this is my C drive, and I just so happen to know this is the drive that I have the this is the thumb drive. You can tell almost by looking at it, it's approximately 64 gigs. So we'll click on that, and voila, there is our Asus Prime B460 Plus folder, and then there's another folder, and there's our file. Alright, so let's take a second to check the weather outside. And looks like another relatively beautiful day in Hawaii. No real imminent danger as far as thunderstorms go. Now, I don't think we have to worry about hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes today, snowstorms. It's really only one place that will snow in Hawaii, as far as I know anyways. So everything actually looks pretty good to go ahead and proceed with this, alright? Now, disclaimer, do I recommend that you update your BIOS? Not necessarily. You really only want to do this when it's truly necessary, when things really seem to not be working. If you happen to install some hardware, things aren't working, maybe Microsoft or whoever, Intel has reasoning to believe that there's a possible security breach, or you know, some other significant reason that you need to update the BIOS. But definitely worth going to this website and checking it out. So once you've decided yes, it's safe to proceed, then we'll go ahead with that. Now, of course, things can go wrong here when you update BIOS. You can have issues, and hence why I went and said, you know, let's check out the weather situation. If my power were to die in the middle of this, we basically would brick our motherboard. Okay, so once we do this, you're not going to touch the computer until it completely reboots and is asking you to log in. So let's go ahead and grab our file. Do you want to read this file? Hell yeah. I may have done this a few times, folks, these videos, and sadly I don't know if they're getting any better. Alright, so do you really want to update BIOS? Well, once again, ask yourself all those questions about the weather, whether you really need to do this, and if you're willing to accept the risk. If all those seem to be positive, then let's go ahead and click yes. And now we're going to see at the bottom, and drop the camera down a little, camera slash cell phone. Yeah, so I don't know why yours truly left behind his really good 4K camera in Virginia. Not only am I missing out on some beautiful scenery here that I could be filming with it, these videos are so much better with a dedicated 4K camera versus using a cell phone. So this is now with the computer's rebooting. That's a good sign, right? The BIOS was accepted. Now basically booting up. Please enter setup to recover BIOS setting, blah blah blah. So it looks like we don't have a choice here. We move that over so you can read it. We have to actually enter the BIOS. So I am going to touch the keyboard at this point. I'm hitting the F1 button. And what do we see in here? We see a new BIOS number, so that is good. Whether anything else really changed is another story. We see my awesome i7 10700 processor, and everything looks pretty good, folks. So at this point, I'm going to pause until we get into the Windows, and you can see that it's actually running. But to do that, we've got to hit F10 at the bottom to save and exit. So we haven't made any changes. And it's going to boot back up again. Now, sometimes when you do this, it will screw up your boot priority. Just so you know. It may boot up to a blue screen. If that happens, the simple fix will be to go into the BIOS and make sure that our M.2 that has the operating system on it is prioritized as the primary drive, or the first to boot up to. And the fact it's taking this long is telling me that something, something might be up. Oh, nope. So everything's good, folks. But like I said, if you get a blue screen, good chance that if you have a hard drive and a M.2, that it may have switched over to the hard drive. And if the hard drive doesn't have an operating system on it, then it will probably get confused and give you a blue screen. But everything's good. And hey, thanks for checking out the video. Please like, please subscribe.